Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hey, beautiful people, this is Freedom Fighter, and welcome. Welcome to Goldilocks. Welcome to the Goldilocks channel. This is Saturday Night Dialogues. It is March the 8th, 2025. We have a jam-packed call tonight. Let's jump right into it because we got to get going. We have more than enough of a lot of information to bring forward to you guys tonight. Father God, we thank you for, as always, we give you gratitude and grace for allowing us to be here and to commune in your spirit. We thank you for all of the knowledge and the wisdom that you've bestowed upon Goldilocks, Wiley, myself, and the tribe so that we can make such an impact on so many people around the world. It is our honor, it is our pleasure to be in the position to bring truth, to bring facts, to bring the receipts, and the results of the people is the actual receipts. It's all of what we do. It is for naught if it's not that we are able to shine your light on the people. And we are grateful that you've given us the opportunity to do so. We ask that you cover everyone and their families. We ask that you allow all minds, all hearts to be open and prepared to receive this information tonight. And we ask that you allow people to take the opportunity to execute, just like many of the members they're going to hear from tonight, to get prepared for this blessing that is bestowed upon them. We ask in your precious name to grant this in your honor. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, folks, we are going to jump right into this call. First, let me say again, happy birthday to the amazing Glass Half Full. She is one of the leaders, one of the mentors, one of the trailblazers in the tribe. And it's her and Brunette Grand who authored the 8 steps that many of the members, all of the members are following to have successful relationships with their wealth managers and their banks. And thank you also, the beautiful Brunette Grand, for the birthday song on behalf of our amazing Glass Half Full. We appreciate you so much. Folks, real quick announcements and let's go. The Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, of course, is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is ground zero, where we take the Goldilocks articles, they're dropped in there, we break them down, folks ask questions. That is also ground zero for where members will come and they obtained the steps, the 8 steps to begin establishing relationships with Tier 1 banks and their wealth managers. This is why you will hear from many folks tonight, and you have been hearing from every single week, and you hear from every single day. This is where they come to the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room to literally be prepared, get prepared for their exchanges. Then we have Dee's room, where she drops articles from the geopolitical and global financial system around the world in her room. And then we have the crypto finance room, crypto finance news with Dave Big Dog. Anything related to crypto That's where you want to go, ask your questions, become knowledgeable about the crypto finance world. Then we have, of course, last but not least, we have Goldilocks Global Banking News that reaches thousands around the world. We're touching 16,000 now. I think it's 15,008, almost 15,009. Just last Saturday was 15,000. We're within a week, we're almost touching on in a new additional 900 members that have subscribed to the Goldilocks Global Banking News. It is an honor to be able to bring forth the knowledge and all of the great experience of Goldilocks to you all. And it's an honor for myself, Wiley, and the tribe to bring it all to you. Now, we're going to get right into this thing. Now, tonight, typically we have three of our members that share their updates. Tonight it's going to be a little unique. We have four, but the first one is not going to share an in-depth update, but the other three are. And just so you know, first we have up Armor of the Father. Then we're going to come to Taiu Pretty. Then String Bean and her husband. And then also, last but not least, it'll be Brunette Grand. Folks, these are people that, just like the others you've heard from, that are following the 8 steps. You're going to hear from folks tonight where they're so far into their relationships. I'm not gonna go ahead and spoil it. I'm gonna wait till we get to them. You're going to be excited. And then the articles that we're going to touch on tonight. One is going to be the U.S. creating a digital reserve, which is Trump's creation of the digital reserves. This is definitely for the RV, the revalue of all assets, including currencies. Then we're going to touch on the new redesign of the U.S. banknotes that the U.S. Treasury is in process of designing that will touch on and be responsible for purchasing those digital reserves that the Trump administration is creating. This is all under the umbrella of the digital assets that President Trump has given the responsibility to his administration in order to have us as a country to have digital asset regulations. This is what is needed for the revaluation of all assets. And yes, the revaluation of our currencies. Then we're going to touch on Iraq going digital. Then last, but not least, we are going to share with you how the RV will start. All of these articles by Goldilocks, as always, you will have the actual proof, the source of these articles from the agencies, and from the one from Iraq, of course, will be from the CBI. You will have the receipts. So we have Armor of the Father, Taiu Pretty, String Bean and her husband, Brunette Grand, and the honorable, amazing Amber, who is the better half of the power couple team, Zach and Amber. It'll be Amber that's going to read our articles. Armor of the Father, are you here? If you can raise your hand so we can get you unmuted. I thought I saw you, but maybe I didn't. And if you're late, we will go to Taiu Pretty. Let me see. Do I see Armor of the Father? In fact, folks, I'm going to tell you what Armor of Father, I'm going to share with you what he typed into the room. And this is it. Just about 2 days ago, he said, "Hello all. I have to say this is getting fun." He said, "I just met with another wealth advisor. He asked if I had time for coffee, and he shared some very sage things with me and had a request." He said, "Tell anyone you know from the internet to quit talking about the RV and the dinar. they are not this is him speaking, armor of the Father, stating that they are not legally allowed to discuss that in the bank. So they're not legally allowed yet to discuss the RV and the dinar in the banks. But the wealth advisor told him to please tell folks to stop talking about it because they can't mention it. Now, he continued by saying, I did not ever elude I knew anyone from the internet. He shared a story of someone coming and quoting Guru chapter and verse. And he said they politely said there was nothing they could do for them and showed them the door. So basically, what Armor of the Father is saying is that he went and met with this wealth advisor, and the wealth advisor has been getting phone calls. Well, the banks have been getting phone calls from God knows who, of course, being encouraged by the gurus and pressing the banks on information. This is something that Wiley and myself have stressed very heavily to the members in our room to not do. We know that what we're doing and members being so successful in establishing relationships that it's reaching thousands all over the world. And we know that there are some that instead of following the steps that we shared, they rather shortcut. The gurus are taking a lot of information that we're sharing and just trying to copycat it, and they're messing it up. All right. So that's what's happening. That's what happened with Armor of the Father. I don't see him just yet, but if he comes in, we'll get to him. But we're going to come to Taiu Pretty. Taiu Pretty, if you can unmute, my good man, how you feel?
Hello. I'm feeling pretty good today.
Pretty good, my man?
Yes, sir.
All right. For those that don't know, this is Taiu Pretty, the young man who many of you, I'm sure, have already heard of. He had several meetings with his private wealth manager, even was able to take his 3-year-old daughter to one of his meetings with his private wealth manager, where she got a sugar rush. And also, this young man, I'm going to give you a quick little story on this young man. He is very, very studious, pays a lot of attention to what we share in the room. And he didn't have prior experience in learning about the RV. We were pretty much his first rodeo, if you will, which actually worked out to his benefit. So long story short, this young man was able to, his private wealth manager signed an agreement with him whereby his wealth manager will exchange his currency for him, as being his wealth manager is a fiduciary. And therefore, as a licensed fiduciary, his private wealth manager has the license to exchange for him and also to exchange at higher rates. Why? Because he's a licensed fiduciary. So this past week, Ty and his wealth manager, they were playing Arnold Palmer, Chichi Rodriguez, and Tiger Woods on the golf course. And so Ty is going to share his update, but Ty, of course, if I know that, especially, in fact, the attorneys were on this golf trip as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, folks, he's not going to go into grave detail because his information is very private. He's going to be a little cryptic about what was discussed on the golf course with the private wealth manager and these attorneys, because there was some very proprietary discussions that occurred. Of course, this is how it is on the golf course. You're going to hear from, in a little bit, String Bean with her and her husband, where they went to lunch with their private wealth manager. Then you're going to hear from Brunette Graham, where the wealth manager came to her home for 4 hours. So when you get into these informal environments, there are discussions that can be had that oftentimes they may not be comfortable with discussing in-house within the bank or in the private wealth management firm. But Ty, fill us in, good man. How I know you played real good. You balled out, but you got so fill us in.
So we was out there pretty early. It was about 8 or 9 o'clock, and I actually invited them to a course that I play very well on.
So so you stacked the deck in your favor. Sounds like
basically, yeah, because I know people who work with high net worth individuals. Sometimes they'll, depending on your golf game, depends on how the relationship could go. So it was actually the course that we went to was they're actually going to be playing the PGA Championship on it very soon.
Wow.
And yeah, private course, and it was nice. Everything was nice, and it was a dollar beer day. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys. I'm gonna go ahead and I asked them if they drink beer or anything. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, well, today is a dollar beer day on this course, so I think we should go over here.
Right.
And they definitely, let's just say 12, 15 beers. they were throwing them back, and I was like, okay. I was like, nice. Now I just wanted to get them relaxed, and because I wanted them to open up to me.
Right.
So we didn't start talking like business until maybe like the 8th, 9th hole, because it was an 18-hole course. And they just kind of asked me, what I was trying to do, or they did ask how I was receiving the money, but I just told them I wasn't liable, to discuss it right now. But my wealth manager, he knows. And we talked about maybe, I'll say 24 different type of trust. And I just told them the 4 types of trust that I want to have, well, that I need, basically. And they went into great detail of what and who I can put in the trust. And by who, yes, I mean a person. What else? Oh, the wealth that we're receiving, that we will be receiving. I can just transfer that, transfer the funds into a trust account, and certain type of trust that have tax, benefits.
Right.
And they know that, I'm dating a woman, and we also talked about marital trust. And that they know, and they also know that I've expressed that I want to give back to the community somehow, but just, being done anonymously.
Right.
Because my mother, she gave back to the community by doing foster care growing up. So that was her way of giving back. So I kind of told them that I want to give back. I just want to operate like in a total jurisdiction, or in a different jurisdiction as far as giving back. So we're going to be setting up a charitable trust.
Okay.
Actually, I think it was called a charitable lead trust, I think.
Okay.
We're going to do that. And then also we discussed the generation skipping trust also.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You guys got it. You guys got into it.
Yes, most definitely. And right now one of the trust accounts is going to be set up, and he wanted to know what I was going to be putting in there. And I said pretty much anything that I can. And he even asked me would I like to put my car in the trust right now, the car that I currently drive. And I was like, sure, why not? So I gave him the VIN number, everything that he needed for that.
Wow.
And these attorneys are very very, very powerful and high level attorneys. And they told me their fees it can range from, just to sit down and talk to them, the consultation fee is like $5,000 just to sit down and talk. And to develop a trust, he said some people come in and don't know what they want, and it could cost them about $30,000. But let's just say those fees are completely out of the window.
I figured that those fees will not apply to you.
Yeah, no, not at all. And also, I kind of wanted to just let them know that I want to just remain anonymous as possible. And they kind of like, it was like, you just want to be a ghost on paper, basically. I'm like, yeah. I said I want to do good, give back, do what I need to do, but I just don't want anything. I don't want to be liable for anything, basically.
Right. You want to own nothing but control everything.
Yes. And we also discussed let me see how I can word it. Let's just say they have clients that, once again, they don't operate in this jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding, let's say, passports and that sort of, that thing.
Mm-hmm. 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 I hope people are picking up what you are attempting to put down. Um, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to
Yeah, I don't,
interrupt you.
because once again, I don't know who's listening. I don't want nobody come knocking at my
Yes.
door or anything.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But
Yes.
the
Yes.
information that was being told is very powerful, and
Yes.
I think the normal person who would know that, they will probably be walking around with their head over their shoulder, being nervous, walking everywhere.
Mm-hmm. 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 Wow, Wiley, you want to jump in here? It's especially up your alley, my good man, because this is deep.
Hey, Ty, my man. Way to leverage and multiply yourself by getting with these guys. So now they're working the business with you, you not doing it alone. So now that effort is spread across many people. And the
Yeah,
power of what you heard from these cats and the biggest thing I think people need to take away, when you build relationships like Ty has, they're waiving the fee
Yep.
because they want the long-term business, not the short-term setup.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then, oh
and
yeah,
Exactly.
good for you if they're talking
Yeah.
jurisdictional and other
Yeah.
oh
things
yeah,
like that, because
yeah,
Wow.
you are way ahead of the curve, and you're already out there where a lot of people never will be for 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And also, I had discussed a certain other asset that I have with Freedom, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those assets that I also have regarding that, they
Mm-hmm.
opened up a security deposit box for me, and I'm putting those in there currently.
Mm.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good deal.
Wow.
Way
Wow.
to use your knowledge, your skill, get them on the golf course. You flip the script, give them some beer, and they give you the keys to what their knowledge base is. You're like, I think I need that. No, I don't know that I need that. But these guys are giving you this knowledge free of charge. Where, like you said, some of this is 5 grand just to sit down and have that conversation, and you
Yes,
got it all for free. Especially, we're saying, well, I'm thinking of this, this, and this, because folks, trust are very intricate, and they
Mm-hmm.
each one does something specific,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you really got to know what you're looking for and the ins and outs of what you want to do with it, and that's where these people come into play, and that knowledge they have is power. It
it
really is.
it was almost like, it's like you open a door, then there's another one, then there's like a whole bunch of other doors you can go through. It's The trust can get deep. We've even discussed as far as, I can have a trust running another trust. I can have a trust running
Mm-hmm.
an LLC, and it can just
Absolutely, you can. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
it gets deep. It gets real deep.
This is how they do it when you have wealth, because
Mm-hmm.
look at just the Trump organization. Even the children, none of them own anything. It's all in
Mm-hmm.
trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If you ever seen the letterhead on Trump business, it names all of his trusts, all the businesses and LLCs that are in it. It's on the
yeah,
letterhead.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They discussed that also, as far as like, it's a reason why the wealthy don't fear court at all. They walk
Mm-hmm.
They
in
can't be
there.
touched.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
don't. They walk in there. Oh, okay. Oh, everything's in the trust, and it's like, yeah, yeah, they can't be touched.
hmm So if
And just
somebody comes after you, Ty, it's just like, okay, have at it. Let's do your best shot. I don't
mm-hmm.
have anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, and good for you. Good for you thinking ahead for your daughter and then this gal you're marrying and do this marital trust thing and kind of set the grounds uh, kind of from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
It's just good business. It really is. Um,
oh yes,
one can
everything
never
is a
be
good
too
thing,
safe in anything.
and that's all I'm really about, is just keeping the peace, and just being safe while I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're really thinking straight. Like you said, you don't want to look over your shoulder constantly.
Oh yeah,
You just
no,
want to go enjoy your life. Know you've done the right things. Know that you've got your money's protected. Your assets are protected. Your children's futures are protected. This girl
Mm-hmm.
you're with, she's protected.
yeah, everything is I feel I feel more at peace, since everything's being set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. Just think, and folks listening, you don't even realize this young man is only 26 years old. And he has been able to navigate probably, is this what your fourth or maybe fourth meeting encounter with your team, these
Honestly,
folks?
I've stopped counting because
Okay.
we're talking almost every week, so it's a lot. But
Okay.
I would probably, it's honestly probably like the sixth or seventh in person.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And the wealth,
Go ahead, Freedom. Go
yeah.
ahead.
And real quick, I just want your wealth manager. He was there, right, at the golf
Oh yeah,
outing?
yes he
Okay.
was.
Okay. That's all right. Go
Because
ahead, Wally. That's all I wanted to know.
those are his. He knows the attorneys
The-
personally.
okay. So he
Well,
So he
Ty
brought those
crossed.
attorneys to the golf course.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Ty crossed my mind today because he's one of the few that when he stepped out of the gate, he struck pay dirt. And he was
Mm-hmm.
able to build a relationship off of that because he had success right where he went first go around. And I know some of our other members are really struggling or they want to be where Ty is, but it's going to take them different. It's going to take them a little longer to get there because they just haven't hit somebody who's willing to be as open as Ty's people are.
Right.
So folks, when you hear these stories, don't ever compare yourself to Ty's story. Ty's is
Mm-hmm.
Ty's story. Ty's is the luck of the draw, who he went. It's his personality. It's the wealth manager's personality that all plays into this and how far you get, how fast you get somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, for those that don't know, Ty's wealth manager also has currency and is invested.
Yes.
Makes a big difference, yes. But if I remember right, Ty, this guy kind of remembers your college career and sports a little bit because he follows that. So you kind of had that in simpatico that you both follow college sports and whatnot. So I
Oh yeah.
think there was an automatic in and a level of comfortness with each other that you really just started
Mm-hmm.
conversing things and a lot of doors open for you because of that relationship you started to build
Mm-hmm.
day one. That all plays in, folks.
Yeah, he brought that up the first time, like we was on the phone. He was looking me up and stuff. Like, oh, you did this, you did that. I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Instant rapport.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Wiley's saying, folks, this is the importance of why we stress about building and establishing those relationships like Ty did so very early versus what we're noticing is that, people that may come into the room saying, oh, um, they might express their experience with the wealth manager and it wasn't too good. And everybody that has gone through this process can immediately know where they screwed up at. Everyone watching knows that they skip steps because what a lot of people are doing is they're trying to compare to Ty, trying to compare to Lady Unique and others, and they're trying to rush to get to the cookie. They're trying to rush, and get to, oh, I want to find out if they know about what's happening at the currency. That's not your objective. Your objective, number one, is to establish that relationship like Ty did. Then eventually look where he's at. You can get there too. Just establish your relationship. Just build your relationships. And we know that a lot of people are in other rooms hearing every week, every weekend. And then you come to our room and you hear these stories. You're thinking there's a connection between the two. There's not a connection between foo-foo and what's real. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
And Ty, you're killing it, brother. You really
Yeah.
are. I mean, I tell you what, if your mom isn't proud of you, your daughter's going to be telling her grandchildren stories about what dad did for her so long ago.
Yeah. I think of him as a next Rockefeller, where he have all these trusts, everything set up. He's going anonymous, legally going anonymous. And when I think about it, Wiley, where throughout Denarland, all these years about, and I hate to even say the buzzword, the one word that starts with the N, ends with the A, and the other one that starts with the G and ends with the A, folks, about being anonymous and taxes, tax exempt and all this stuff. But here we have Ty, where legally he's going to be structured to take advantage of tax minimization. I'm using the word minimization very strategically, but he's going to be in a situation where he's truly, I'm saying it, he's not saying it, he said it in so many words, he's going private. He's going to be his own jurisdiction. Isn't that what the N word and G word in Dinar land has talked about all these years? That you have these groups talking about, and I'm going to say it because y'all might not know, Nasara and Jassara. Isn't that what that's all about? And here he is actually getting all that set up of what Nasara and Jassara talks about. He's getting it set up legally, realistically, without the name Nasara and Jassara.
What I think it's very important to say, though, is the steps that we provide is to get you an exchange bank and then get you into wealth management. You may never get to where Ty is. That's okay, because that's not for everybody. Like Debo comes to mind. She's very content where she is. She did it. And I think her motto is, if it's free, it's for me. And I think they talked annuity. She goes, bang, bop, I'm it. That's what I want in. She's set because that's where she is. Ty wants something different. Everybody's level of success will appear different because we all measure success differently. The goal is to get exchanged and to find somebody to help you grow your money. You don't want to outlive your principal.
Right.
That's the goal in all of this. Ty's just got the bells, whistles, and he's got cake and pie, and I mean, he got it all. But that was the luck of the draw and where he went, because he knew what he wanted. He would have to go to a specialized place.
Right. And for folks listening, it's a private wealth management firm, just so that you're aware. And just think, folks, if you hear of Ty's story and his experience, even with the various trusts that these attorneys are going to set up for him to be anonymous, for him to have tax minimization. Folks, I guarantee also with Ty and his wealth manager only has 35 clients and manages $1 billion under management. But his wealth manager, when the RV happens, his wealth manager is actually going to retire. And there's someone else that's going to take over. But they're not going to continue taking on clients. They're only going to focus on Ty and their other portfolio of clients. So just imagine for someone who is just going to wait for a notification and the RV happens, you have no wealth manager in place, you have no structure, nothing. Go ahead, Wally.
This goes back to what Armor of the Father was talking about last week, is when they were talking to the banker, I believe. The banker says, we only want to talk to people who have a semblance of knowledge and a mediocre of at least an understanding of what's happening. They don't want everybody and anybody. So as much as you're testing the waters and checking them out, they're checking you out a bit too.
Yeah. I mean, the attorneys, they were also, everybody, they were still shocked by my age and stuff. Like, oh.
Yeah, it blows them away. You're as knowledgeable as you are on this. And I
sure.
get that. Because your wisdom of what you know far exceeds your age. You know what I mean? You've packed a lot in life into a short time.
They do more. They do more than just actually, as far as like talking business, as far as finance. They had to remind me, like, okay, yeah, you're about to become a high net worth individual. And there's a certain way. This is just certain how. It's just a certain way somebody with a lot of money carries themselves. It's like a certain aura. It's an energy.
That is correct. And, there's a confidence comes with it.
Yeah. And they said, like, you never hear them. They call it politics. You never hear them talking about politics, sports, or anything, because they know it's entertainment. Mainly, they focus on their wealth management and family, that kind of stuff.
Wealth management, business, and family. That's what they focus on. That's their three main areas they get up every day and focus on.
Yeah. So that's what he was, he said, he said it's okay to have fun, also. And he said they all do it. Some are more conservative than others, but
I'm glad you said that, Ty, because it's important to remember, even when you're making money, you've got to learn to enjoy it a little bit. Not go
yeah.
crazy, but you got to learn to enjoy it. What's the point of doing everything else, protecting it, structuring it, doing all that, if you don't
Exactly.
have a little fun?
And I was
Mm-hmm.
advised to get a PO box too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
if I can just
Yeah.
say that this all comes with a cost, folks, and I'm sure they broke that out with Ty, because I know they've some others have had that breakdown given to them. But you get what you pay for in this. And the higher you go up the food chain, the higher the costs are. But they'll break all that out with you when you talk to them about this stuff. And that's very important to know, is the fee structures.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's amazing. In essence, man, Ty, you're going to be a high net worth individual off grid.
Basically, yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
the goal.
Yep. You'll be able to move freely. You will become totally and completely free when you have jurisdictional rights to move however you want to move in commerce.
Hey, freedom. He sounds like one of them 4 a.m. guys. He gets up, conducts all his business, his workouts, everything early in the morning because he wants to be on the course by 8 to 9. He's got to
Right.
handle
Pretty much,
4 hours of business in the day, because at this level
Right.
of wealth, you don't look at 8 to whatever is a day. You have
Right.
24 hours to conduct business every day. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
maximize everything you need to in that day.
That's right.
yes, sir.
Beautiful. We appreciate your time, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
the update, man. I don't know what's next. Are you going to be meeting with them again? Oh, I know you are, but
Right now I'm just getting everything, like the trust is I already told I'm gonna be very detailed, so I just want to make sure everything is lining up the way I want it to.
gotcha. Okay, excellent. All right. Well, keep us in the loop, and we're here for you. We got your back, whatever you need.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Yes, indeed. Thank you,
He blows
folks.
me away every time you talk
Um,
to him, every time
I'm
you get him
telling
on
you,
here.
it just better and better every time. When you think that it was good the last time, it gets great the next time. It gets
Yeah.
great, better
Yeah.
and
He's an
better.
inspiration. It really is.
Yes, yes, indeed. Anyone listening, you can click the link at the top of the description on YouTube. You can join the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room, and you can meet Ty and other folks you want to hear from tonight. Next, we're going to bring up, he was fashionably late, but we still love him, Armor of the Father. If you can come to the mic, please.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Freedom. Wiley. Sorry for my tardiness. I was hanging out with the family and the wife, and I had to step away so I could come and speak to all the fine people in this room tonight.
That's all right, man. You doing okay?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm going to tell you what, brother. I haven't had such a great weekend in such a long time. Things are progressing so beautifully. I did my first experience with contrasting therapy with a sauna and a cold plunge pool on Friday. Man,
you're feeling good now.
no stress.
No stress. Awesome. Before you came on, I read your brief update, and instead of you giving your full update, we'll have you come back on another Saturday call to give a full update. I wanted you to touch on very briefly the part about. And I'll read it real quick. It was just, we said, hello all. I have to say this is getting fun. I just met with another wealth advisor. And then you wanted to talk about that they mentioned to you to tell folks on the internet to quit talking about the RV and dinar. and that was because I love the way you said, because someone's coming in quoting guru and verse and chapter. Can you tell us, how did this come about that they brought this up to you? Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, so I've been following the steps and just interviewing people and talking to different wealth managers. And one of the tier 1 banks in the area, I'd reached out, and we've had several exchanged questions, been back and forth, and had several phone calls. And he hit me up one day, and because I have my own business, I'm a residential builder.
Okay.
And he says, hey, Mr. Walkup, you got time to have some coffee this afternoon? And I said, let me look at my schedule. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. So I kind of muted my phone and just stood there and snickered.
Right, acting like you had to check your schedule.
And so I told him, I said, well, if you give me about 45 minutes, I think I can squeeze something in if that works for you. If not, we can make it another time. He said, oh, no, that works perfect for me. Why don't you meet me here? So I just kind of hung up the phone and just sat there, and my business partner standing there next to me because he and I are very much involved in the prospecting that everyone is doing. And I just told him, I said, "Yeah, this is hilarious. This guy he's really gunning to find out what we know." And he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go over and see what he has to say.
Right.
So needless to say, we had a meetup. You know, I've already talked to him on the phone several times. Nice gentleman. And we talked, and he says, where did you gain all your knowledge from? I said, I've had some mentors in my life and some people that I'm in contact with on a regular basis. They've just, kind of paying attention to the way they handle their affairs and just using them as a mentorship. And, I just figure you guys are professional. I need to approach you from a professional perspective. And he says, let me say this. Those internet people, they're absolutely out of their damn minds. I said, what are you getting at, man? Todd, what do you mean by internet people? And he goes, well, we get people coming into the bank all the time wanting to talk to wealth management people. They sit down, they get an appointment, they sit down and they start talking about Jamie Dimon this and the dinar that and this and that and Vietnamese dong this and this person said, that person said, this person's gonna this and it's gonna be this value, that value. You get, turn your computer and look on your computer and do this, And he says what instantly occurs when they start talking about anything that has to do with RV or anything like that, we immediately flip a switch in our head. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. They're obviously unstudied in the art of money mechanics, and they don't understand the professional relationship. Much less do they understand the legality of it all.
Because they can't talk about it.
They can't talk about it. And I said, well, I kind of feel your pain because, you do hear lots of chatter out in the world about how people go about things. And, some people are a little more, how did I put it? I think I've said a little more immature in their approach and their thinking because they haven't really sat back and really evaluated their life and where they want to go with it and how they want to approach life and how to the mechanics on how to get there. And he says, dude, that's a good viewpoint. He says, tell me more about that. He says, how do you approach your life? We started chatting a little bit more. And I kind of ran it down for him. I've had 2 businesses. I'm an ex-military veteran, and I've just always been motivated and driven. I've got mentors in my background that are very successful people, and I've just always paid attention to what I've always surrounded myself with people that I want to be like. Right. And he says, well, that's a good thing to be doing. And then he says, let me tell you. He says, we had a guy come in last week and immediately right out of the gate sat down with one of our wealth managers, the VP of the bank, and he immediately started talking about dinar and the RV and a specific individual that he follows on the internet. And the guy was getting frustrated and loud and upset with the wealth manager because he just wasn't giving him what he wanted to hear. And he basically told me, he says, if I could offer one piece of advice, if you know any of these type of people or this group, of anybody in that group of people, you might want to offer them some sage wisdom. And I said, well, what's that? What do you think that we should, what message should we propagate? And I said, because I think, you find that you guys could probably make an impact in a positive way. He says, look, we know what's going on at the bank. You know what's going on at the bank. We all know what's going on with the financial systems, and I'm not going to get into those details today. He says, but I would ask and request. If anybody could sit down in a room with these people to tell them to please show a modicum of respect, do a little bit of research, and have a little bit of understanding of what's going on in the world, and approach it from a financial perspective, not from a I'm an entitled to this thing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to work with people. We want to help people grow. We want to help people achieve their goals in a legal and responsible way. And, we want to do that because we grow and achieve our goals in a legal and responsible way.
Mm-hmm. Wiley, I got to get Wiley again. Wiley, does this all sound familiar? I know you're ready. Your mouth is probably on the floor right now, Wiley.
Oh, it's not on the floor. I've been at this 20 years, so I know exactly what Armor of the Father's saying. I mean, I've preached it for years, but, when you're the lone candle in that side of the fence, people don't want to hear it because, like he says, there's a certain entitlement folks have to this because they've been told that.
By the gurus.
They aren't approaching it, right. They are not approaching it in a business fashion. This is business to the bank.
Yep.
Your business to the bank. They want your business, but they will not work with you in that business if you won't do the basis of understanding what it is you're in and how legally you have to do it and legally they have to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was it was an eye-opening experience. And one of the other things that he shared was, he's like, look, let me ask you a question. He says, you ever had an unruly child? I said, oh yeah, I've got 3. He says, when you tell them to do something and they get mouthy and lippy with you, what do you want to do? You want to put them against the guardrails and let them know, that there's a proper way to go about this and this isn't it. He says, so that's where they've got everybody at right now because people are coming in here and spouting off all this nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if you could just get people to wise up a little bit, dial it down a little bit, approach it from a different level, and show some intellect and some composure, and understand we don't want to deal with children, because if we're trying to advise a child on how to live their financial best life, they're going to be a pain in the butt to deal with.
Yep.
And what he told you is what Wiley and I have been telling everyone from the very beginning. And folks listening, this is why we've had so many members that have had so much success at the banks. Just like you just heard Ty. He didn't go in there talking about dinar and RV. We've had members that actually did that, and they come back and we clean it up and get it right. But there are gurus out there who are listening in on what we're sharing with our members. All they care about is clicks, followers, and hype. So therefore, they just want to repeat what we're saying, but then they add their little spike on it by telling them to go talk about Dinar, Jamie Dimon, and it gives people this anxiety because the gurus are telling them to go and say these things, and then they'll say my high-level sources and the Chinese elders are saying that it's on high alert, it's happening this weekend, so people rush to the bank. And with all this anxiety, and they have this entitlement to try to force the wealth managers to give them the answers they want to hear about Dinar and about RV. But they can't legally talk about a currency that's not even international yet. But just like you just heard from Armor of the Father, they know, they mentioned to him that they know what's going on.
Yeah, and that therein lies the problem, Freedom, is these gurus have put themselves on these big pedestals that say, I know, and you can use my name when you go into the bank, and they know, but when they get in there, these people are like, well, what do you mean you don't know this person? He's put himself up there, and this is the guy I listen to. He's telling me he's talking to all the right people. Well, you just heard Armor of God say, or Armor of the Father say, hey, it's illegal for them. So who are these gurus technically talking to that they're coming back and spouting, hey, I talked to the bank's saying this. Really, folks? Come on.
Garbage.
It's all trash.
Yep, I agree. And if you guys got time, I got one little brief story I can tell you. about my mom and pop bank that I have an account with.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a really small local bank that I deal with, and I become very good friends with both the people that sit behind the counter, which are the tellers, and the vice president of the bank. And we've had many, many conversations, especially these two young men that take my checks and put them into my bank account. And we were talking about all kinds of digital assets to invest in. And they were picking my brain and said, "Hey, you know anything about this digital asset called XRP?" And we had a conversation. About 2.5 hours I was in there talking to them and the VP of the bank about it. And they were just feeling me out as much as I was feeling them out. But needless to say, we've built a pretty decent rapport. We have weekly, if not daily, text message exchanges. And the other day I went into the bank. And we've been talking back and forth about what's going on with the financial system and the banking reform and everything, and the overhaul of the financial system. So I put my check in the bank, and he was high-fiving me, telling me, "Hey man, I invested some more stuff in some different things. I'm really diversifying. I'm getting into these different assets and asset classes." And I said, "Great, man, that's awesome. It sounds like you're going to get a well-rounded portfolio." I said, "Now you need to figure out how you're going to go about wealth management and protecting all that when all those investments roll through." He says, "Yeah, I'll be wanting to pick your brain." And so I rolled out of the bank, and he comes running out to the parking lot. He forgot to give me my receipt. And he says, "Hey man, I didn't give you your receipt on purpose." He says, "I just want to let you know something. We just got off of a conference call with the regional vice president of the bank." And he said, "A lot of the things that you and I have been talking about when you come in regards to banking reform and the ISO 222 compliance and things like that, we just got notification that we're changing our SWIFT data formats from a messaging perspective to meet that ISO standard." He says, "Everything that you're telling us is coming down through the bank, and it's happening right now."
Wow. When was this?
A week ago.
There you go. Right in line with everything that Goldilocks has been sharing. And I know, Armor of the Father, you've been following. You're very studious, because I see earlier you posted stuff about articles you've read, and I think it was on the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Man, you're sharp. So you know these are things that Goldilocks has been sharing.
Yes, sir. And that's why I'll be very, very honest with you. I too have, and I'm just going to come clean with it. I too have followed a lot of the intel providers out there, and I'll be nice about it and professional about it, but this once,
Right.
And I'll just say it like this: you can only go so many weekends. It's going to happen this weekend, and it doesn't happen. You got to sit back and scratch your head from a reasonable man's perspective and go, "Okay, we've had 52 weekends and nothing's happened, and it's always happening this weekend. What gives?" And you start digging, and you start unearthing information and start putting pieces together. And then you find groups like yourselves that are basically promulgating a lot of knowledge that is based on fact, and you have the receipts for it, and you can piece the puzzle together. Folks, I will tell you this: I've listened to all of them out there. Not one of them have been right to date. There has been no RV, and there's a reason why. And if you want to take the time to understand it, it's out there. It is out there. And you can go find the actual blueprint for the financial global overhaul out there. It's in a flow chart out there. And it includes all the banks in the globe, in the world. It includes all the digital assets, the digital tokenization of assets. It includes the SWIFT system. It includes the whole enchilada. And what you are watching right before your eyes is the transformation is occurring, and the next steps at some point, I'm not sure when that's going to be. You will see the final coup de grace or capstone on this project.
And the beautiful thing is you've gotten that feedback, and I love the story how this gentleman who he purposely didn't give you your receipt so he can go out to the parking lot and share with you off the record, off of camera, where he knew there wouldn't be a recording of his voice talking to you about what's going on, and that they just had that conference call.
Yep. And in fact, one of my wealth managers that I'm dealing with, he's a private wealth manager, and I was introduced to him through the VP of the bank, the mom and pop bank that I'm working with.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's so awesome.
They're not a tier 1 bank, but they're still in the know.
They're in the know. Yeah. And see, and now when it being trickled down, because the tier 1 banks, as of the large tier 1 banks, October the 1st of last year, actually, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Let me go back. November the 19th, 2023, all of the tier 1 banks became compliant with ISO 222. October of last year, the first, where it was Basel III capital requirements, where the large banks became active. And then now we're witnessing through your firsthand experience, some of the mom and pop that are now coming into play as well. And those mom and pops, for example, your mom and pop bank, that also means that the rest of them throughout the country, throughout the United States, also migrated as well. Yep. Beautiful.
Yep.
Man, that is so awesome. Wow. You gave us a whole nice big old mouthful update I was not expecting. Wow.
I have more, but
I'm sure.
It would take a couple of seconds.
Yeah, we got to get Armor's father back on another call.
Yeah, we'll have you come back for sure, young man, on another Saturday for sure.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys take care. I appreciate you all, and peace and love.
Much love. Take care.
You. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Next, wow, that was deep. Next, we have String Bean, the awesome, amazing mentor, Garlic String Bean. And I believe she has Mr. Garlic String Bean on with her. If you can unmute, young lady.
Hello.
There you go.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you. Folks, this is the amazing, awesome tribe leader, String Bean. This past week, her and her husband had lunch with their wealth manager. I'm not going to give you her whole entire backstory. Some of you already heard it. We got to get moving through the call, but her and Sally I Am is her partner in crime, who's another member, and they're doing a great job with Nova Knickers and mentoring her. These ladies are powerful. And String Bean used to have potlucks at Sally I Am's place, all kind of stuff going on, drinking Guru Fufu Kool-Aid all the time, the whole 9 yards. But she done stopped drinking the Kool-Aid, and here she is. String Bean. And you got hubby with you?
Yes.
Yes, here I am, right here.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So if you can fill us in on this power lunch that you power couple had, tell us, bring us in, young lady. I know you got notes. Folks, she's the best note taker. I hear. Folks, she's the best note taker in America.
Okay, so what we ended up doing, we started with this private wealth manager, which is a private firm. We started with him back in November through December. We kind of communicated with emails, phone calls, and then we were supposed to meet him in December, but due to the weather, we weren't able to connect. Because we were there on vacation. So fast forward to January, he gives me a call and said that he wanted to set up where he can fly in to meet us, because he's like 4 hours away from where we live.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he flew in to meet with you guys.
Yes, and we had lunch and didn't have any garlic string beans. So
dang it.
Disappoint you on that. But we had lunch with him, and so it was pretty good. Because he had already was dealing with me, but he hadn't with my husband. He kind of already knew what my desires was and what I was looking at as far as everything went. So when we were eating, we took the time over lunch just to get to know each other. And he had a chance to, meet my husband, and they talked about some things, and then we started talking and getting down to business. So my husband naturally shared with them some of the things that he has on his heart. And as far as what we're inheriting with our newfound wealth and some of the things that we wanted to do. So what we ended up doing, after my husband shared with them what was on his heart, then he started making suggestions to us as far as the wealth manager, making suggestions based on what we were telling him. And so he talked about like a living trust versus a land trust and the difference between those two and what would benefit us. He asked us, we were talking about like our living expenses and how to make those things work and what kind of plan we wanted for that. So he talked about doing like a personal expense sheet for us. And based on what our biggest expense would be, then he would do something over like a 10-year period so that we can see it and like do a balance sheet based on our trust, our cash, our investments, and just breaking that all down, how that would kind of look like.
Gotcha.
So we went through that, and he also talked about just living within our means. Talked about compound assets and basically living within our means. And he was kind of like what Ty was saying. It's okay to enjoy your money and by all means have fun, but you also want to make sure you have some money left.
Right.
So that was one of the things that we talked about. We talked about my husband. You want to share about what you were?
Just a little backstory. Both my parents passed away in September of last year. And,
sorry to hear that.
dad,
My condolences.
Thank you. My dad made a lot of money in his career. He was an orthopedic surgeon in Dallas and some other places for many years, and died practically with nothing. Practically nothing. And so one of the things that really brought to my attention was I wanted to be able to create generational wealth. So not just to take care of my immediate family, but my kids and my kids' kids and generations on down. And to be able to live, be able to have my money grow, not just you got a lot of money, you're rich, but there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Being wealthy, two different.
That's something that I really felt like was a calling and something that I needed to do just because of my family history and background. I want to make sure that my generations are taken care of. They're not having to start over from scratch. That's something that was really important to me. And then just in general, being being able to invest in businesses and things like that as a silent partner. Not really, people knowing that I've done that, but be able to help people out that maybe are looking to start their business and they have an idea, but maybe they're struggling because, certain situations.
Whatever reason.
But be able to offer them the money and say, here, and just be a silent partner and stuff like that. And just be, kind of like, just not be out in the open and all that. I'm just basically living my life and, and that's really what I thought was very important. I was impressed by him because he didn't come in there with any airs or anything like that. He came in and said, I want you to know who I am. And he started to tell a little bit about his story. Where he grew up and how he got to where he is and stuff. And it was very, very interesting. And he was just a very personable. And right then and there, I said, okay, he sold me. He sold me because he wasn't trying to, there never really was a point where he was asking where our money's come from or anything like that. We basically knew to come in and not talk to guru stuff, but just basically let him know that, we're working on it. But he was, more than forthright with everything, giving us information and stuff and keeping in contact with us. And so it's definitely, I would say definitely for sure, we might talk to some other ones just to kind of get practice. I think we know who we're going to go to for sure.
Right. And, that's a big investment for him to fly out, come 4 hours away.
Yeah, he had some other clients in the area that he was visiting with and stuff, and he started telling a little bit about their firm and kind of what they do, and they work with a lot of professional athletes and other people and stuff, and kind of shared some stuff about that and their experiences with that aspect of it.
Okay.
But just basically, he was trying to earn our business.
There you go. There you go.
And but he was a very nice man, and I'm just very impressed with him and just how he carried himself. And he was just very. In fact, it was funny because we drove up to the restaurant about 15 minutes early. And we were sitting in the car, and there was a car parked next to us, and that was him.
Wow.
He was right next to us. So
yeah.
So, but and she said, "Well, that might be him right there." I said, "Right," and sure enough, that was him. But
wow,
it was really good, really good. Just impressed and learning a lot. So I won't.
Awesome.
I know other people need to talk, so I'm just.
So it sounds like String Bean. This might be the one. I know you. I know you guys are going.
Very, very impressed with him. He was asking about, as far as family and our child and, the age and everything.
Okay.
And how when she's older, he wants to be able to set up some training for her so that she can understand what she's inheriting.
Right.
But put it on a level where she can understand it.
But
he also wanted to make sure that she realizes what she's inheriting and how to safeguard that where she's not telling everyone what she has.
Right.
Because for her safety and for our safety. And that was very important. But based on some of the things that my husband told him that he was interested in, then he kind of went through some things with us on what he thought would be the best way to handle that. And one of the things that he said that was really interesting, he said it's how it's so important to listen because he's actually worked with people where they had to stop working with them because they weren't willing to learn. They would not listen. He said we understand that, it is your money, but you're asking us to help you and you're asking us to grow your wealth. But if you're not willing to listen, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
That's right.
And so he said we've actually had to let clients go because of that. He says because it's really not about that. It's about you're saying you're wanting to have generational wealth. You're wanting to do all these different things. But if you're not willing to follow the advice, then what's the point?
Exactly.
So that was pretty interesting. And he also mentioned this book and we already have it in our Amazon cart, but he mentioned this book. It's called The 28-Day Shift to Wealth, a Daily Prosperity Plan.
Okay.
And that was a book that he suggested that we also get to read. So we're going to get 2 copies so he can have his own copy. Because we both like to write notes in it. So that's where we are right now. And, he was kind of leaning like, if we were going to choose him or not. We were both, I was already sold on him, but because he had never talked to my husband, that was so important for them to meet.
Right.
And so we told him that we were going to, when we get home, we would discuss what our thoughts and plans are, but we are definitely going with him. When my husband mentioned about another place, that's just to get some practice in, but we already know that we are going with him because we both were on the same page with that and just really, really was impressed. We're talking about one of the things he said was part of his job is not just about the money, but also establishing a relationship with us.
There you go. That's
so they're already talking about golf. My husband plays golf. So they had that conversation too. So so they will be doing that as well.
Awesome. Wow, this firm sounds very familiar. Sounds very similar to Ties. Ties, a lot of the same things you guys discussed, and also Ties wealth management firm that he's working with works with professional athletes as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, very familiar. Wow. Wiley, want to jump in here?
Yeah. Hey,
and we do have our team, by the way. What he plans to do with us, we have our team in place.
That's excellent.
He's just waiting for us to get a hold of him and let him know we're ready.
Man,
yeah, if memory serves, I recommended that same book, but I'd have to go back and check. But
hi, Wiley.
I'm getting deja vu of my guy telling me, Wiley, if you ain't gonna listen, what's the point? Mm-hmm. And I swear he had that same conversation with me, so I get it, where he's talking about let some people go. But what I wanted to say, what you touched on, is they would teach your child how to do this, and that is excellent. But now remember, our children absorb more than what we truly realize. And as you move into this affluent lifestyle and a high net worth client, your kids are going to pick that up a bit. They're going to understand and know something's changed. Mom and dad do things differently. You're going to have a different air about you and how you carry yourself, and your character will change when this happens, because there's a shift that happens with wealth. It just happens. Mm-hmm. It's psychological, and there's all books on that. But your child is going to be so well geared for when they start teaching this stuff to them directly about what's coming their way, because like Mr. Stringbean said, he has, a history of what happened to his dad. He's not going to repeat. So he has causal case to ensure it never happens to his family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we look at this, and your children's children will look back and say, man, great granddad or grandma, boy, they were on it. They knew what they were doing.
Yes.
And this is where we change the dynamic of our family's futures to the generation that makes it, to the generation that preserves it. Then you want to instill that on down, so we don't get that third generation that's just the spender.
Mm-hmm. And his dad made a lot of money. He's made a lot of money, but it was how he handled it, and that's something we want to change.
Well, you're going to change it. You've already began to change it.
You've already started. You both have already started that by having these conversations, meeting with this guy, and now you know what you want. And you, like Lady Unique, you know what you want, and you know what you won't accept, and you know the level of business you want coming at you, and you won't accept anything less. That is the first steps.
Yes.
Beautiful. It's so exciting, Wiley, especially because of String Bean and her husband, their history of, String Bean. I tell you, you've been a trailblazer and leading the charge with your husband on this journey. And I know there were some times in the past where, you were leading the charge, and then you were like, well, you know what? I think I need to make a U-turn. And then you found us, and then things changed dramatically for you. And I know it's made a world of a difference between the two of you, and now on your journey. It's an honor and Mr. String Bean, your wife is an amazing leader in our room. She's one of the tribe members, and we just love her immensely.
100%. Yeah.
You guys have made a difference. I mean, because we were part of the guru stuff, and every weekend, this weekend, the 3-day weekend, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. It's like,
who don't need no binders no more, right, String Bean?
That's right.
The military bases. I'm like, what?
Right. Oh, the military bases. Yeah. Now it's Kurdistan oil, and then now it's all this other garbage. Well, thankfully, you all listening, most of you are really grounded in the facts and truth with us. And I mean, just the receipts. Mr. and Mrs. String Bean, receipts, Ty, receipts, Arm of the Father, receipts, Brunette Grand, everyone else, receipts of the. And just think now, real quick, just think about what you just heard Armor of Father say about going with these wealth managers, and they're talking to him, telling him, those internet folks, basically tell them to shut up and stop coming in here with this guru breath. We know what's going on. They know what's going on, but don't come in here unprofessional. That's pretty much what you just heard, right, String Bean?
Yes, and we were ones that went out and did that before. And then got crazy looks. So it's I'm glad to hear that someone has actually come out and said that.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much. When's the next luncheon or dinner? I just want to put an order in for garlic string beans. Can you tell us?
I'll get you an order.
Oh, no, we all right. You all right with me?
Oh, yeah. So we're at the point now, and he was looking up some names for us for some different type of things, that we had asked about, and he's actually on it. He's actually on it, and has given us some names, and so he's basically waiting to hear from us when it's a go, when it's time for when our wealth comes in. He did kind of try to figure out again where it was, where it was coming from, and we had to redirect that conversation. So that was good, but he's waiting to hear from us.
Good, beautiful. Congratulations to you both, the both of you. Congratulations! Wow, it's so awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Now we're going to get to the one and only incomparable Miss Beautiful Brunette Grand, leader, the co-author of the 8 Steps. If you can come to the mic, young lady.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you again for that beautiful birthday song for Miss Glass Half Full. Thank you for just being you, beautiful Brunette Grand.
Thank you very much. I enjoy it.
Yes. So, folks, this young lady, you was pretty much set, Brunette Grand. You had already had two or three, I believe, 2 wealth managers. Your team already in place. You were finished with all of this, just ready for the RV. You decided to throw your hat back in the ring, and you decided to have a wealth manager for the second time, different wealth manager though, come to your home, and she was with you for 4 hours.
Oh yes, 4 hours. I kept looking at her because she had a meeting at an hour after it, and I said, "Do you have to leave yet?" She goes, "Yeah, I'll have to leave here in a little bit, but I still got stuff to show you."
My Lord! So now, also, just so folks know, and I was shocked when I wasn't shocked, but I wasn't expecting you to type into the room that this wealth manager agreed that she will negotiate your exchange for you and higher rates. But the last but not least, the most important was she also had cheesecake with you. No, I'm sorry, that's not important. But,
I forgot to set a chair for over there. So she was watching. I was watching her. She was watching that cheesecake all the time. She was pulling her chair over. The minute she sit down in that chair, she was on it. I said, "Are you hungry?" She said, "Yeah, I've had a lot of calls today. I'm kind of a little bit hungry."
Cheesecake would do it every time. She needed a bib.
Oh my goodness.
So if you can, go ahead and give us a summary if you can, or what. But my Lord, she's going to negotiate your exchange rates for you. This sounds like Lady Unique. Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna shut up and let you talk.
And this is going to be really interesting how this was brought up. So we did our phone call interview first. And then of course she asked me, I told her that I had some wealth coming in and I needed someone that to manage and see what her services were. And right now I'm just interviewing for wealth managers. So she was good with that. She settled with that. So, but she did want to know some information, personal information. I gave her that. She wanted to know what my monthly income that I needed to live on. She wanted to know a guesstimation of the value, which I give her the minimal. So we got that plugged in. And so after that, she wanted to get together. So we set a date. She came over. So on the cheesecake, after the cheesecake pre-show, we went into the Wiley's questions, of course, and she had those the answers in bright red. Okay. We went over the scenario on the fun question. If you had $1 million, How would you divide that? I mean, we went over everything. Like I said, there were 79 pages of charts, scenarios, everything. So she had my personal wealth financial plan there already plugged in. So we went over that. Now she is, and I noticed on closing today, there was someone asking a question. This is a wealth manager firm of a branch, but they're not in branch. What this is, they're incorporated with 3 other firms from acquisition and mergers.
Okay.
So they don't deal much with the branch side.
Okay.
So once we got through the Wiley's questions, she started her what she could offer. And the funny thing is, the very first thing she brought up, she goes, well, first of all, we're gonna, and she went on a fishing expedition again here. Can I ask, where is this wealth arriving at? And I said, well, I just accrued some different investments over time and still accruing them. And she said, I tell you what, one of our services is I do offer my clients foreign currency ordering and exchanging. I have always done that for my customers.
So she brought it up to you.
She brought it up to me. So she said, and get this. She goes, by the way you're sounding on your accrued investments, is that something that we're going to be interested in working on with you? And I go, possibility is pretty strong on that. So she said, well, she goes, I tell you what, she goes, we'll get together on that. But she goes, I can definitely get you a better rate than what the branch can anytime. So
okay, can you repeat that?
That she can get a better rate than what the branch can.
Okay. You can please carry on, young lady.
She said that they do, that they would have a contract to lock the rates in, but she said we'll deal with that later because she said we have a lot to go over today. So we got that out of the way. I was still in all over that, but I just we'll get on to the next. So we went over my my personal wealth financial plan. We went over the personal wealth analysis stress test. Now, what that is, that adjusts your investment strategies to improve your plan. In case of the markets, the interest rate hikes, and the economy. Yep. We went over that. We went over estimated cash flow summary, 90% likelihood of reaching my goals, and she had it all the way up to 95 years old. We did profiles of SMAs, which are separate managed accounts, more tax efficient. That's portfolio securities that she uses to manage the wealth. She had 10 of them, but she showed me the 5 that she picked. There's the large cap, the medium cap. Dividend growth portfolio mimics the S&P 500 and growth and income. So we went over that. And then other than that, we just went over different diversifications on my, different investments that I can get to, money markets, CD ladders.
Right.
We went over the low wealth, medium wealth, and high wealth scenarios. So other than that we went over a ton of stuff. It's already plugged into my phone. Brokerage account. I already had a trust back that I had never used. So I looked up the information on, gave that to her. So that's all plugged in. My checking account connected to get everything's all in one place where I can just go in and see everything.
Nice.
So
nice.
Got all that done already. So
nice.
I'm really impressed with this one in the fact that whenever you ask her a question, she's on it.
Okay.
I write down all these little things because that other one, I can't deal with people that comes up with excuses one right after the other. So she's not like that. She's on it. And I think I wrote this in the room. I'll end it with this. What her wealth manager client experience response was, I do the work and stress testing to make sure your goals can be realized so that you have peace of mind that you will realize the goals that matter to you. I stay up at night so you don't have to, and to be the lighthouse during the storm. That's what her response was.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I love it. Sounds like this is she just went to the top of the list of your selection.
Yeah, now Monday, my other one calls because she's been sick for almost 2 weeks. She almost had pneumonia. So
okay,
getting back with me Monday, and we're going to play catch up. Try to catch up with this one.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Wiley, you want to jump in here, my good man?
Yeah, Brunette, you just kill it. Girl, I remember when we had to reset with you. And if people don't know, she is in the toughest state right now to try getting a banker for what the gurus have done in this state to even walk through a bank and get the time of day with one.
Yeah, the smog is heavy back this area.
Oh, yeah, guru breath is all over the place, halitosis and everything.
But you know what? Tough times don't last. Tough people do, and I'm a tough people.
There you go.
You are. I remember we reset. You went back out. And folks, she already is set. Brunette Brand was set with who she went with. It didn't get any better. Yeah. And she goes, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can find me a bank and somebody that might be able to just do some more. That's diversity. Brunette, you didn't need to do anything. You were set it, forget it, ready to go till this happened. Kudos for stepping out, doing it again, and just saying, you know what? I want to try this one. They've been on my list. I'm going to reach out and find out.
And a matter of fact, I've got there's a couple that you listed the other day, and you had asked me once before about, well, did you ever consider this one? I said no, but you know what? I got to looking and doing my due diligence. I said yes, I am, and the other ones 6 blocks down the street. So I said yes,
wow.
I do. So they're going to get my crumbs or my croutons, whatever.
I'm going to have to quit giving you ideas because you just run with them.
Oh,
well, that's what you put them out there for us to use. So I'm using them.
Yes, you do. Yes. Yeah. Good for
beautiful.
You. Yeah.
Good for you. Beautiful. Wow.
So
I love it.
Freedom. And also thank you, Lady E.
You're welcome, beautiful. And thank you for just doing what you're doing for yourself and your family. Thank you for what you do and helping being a leader in the room. Thank you, beloved.
Thank you.
All right, folks.
Hey, if I can real quick, Freedom.
Go ahead. Sure.
Hey, I want to shout out to CWA. I know she's been a little MIA from the room lately, but I see her on the call tonight. Girl, we see you, we miss you, and we hope you come back soon and get things sorted. And
yes,
you're one of us. You're a key part of the tribe. Family, come on in whenever you can.
Yeah, shout out CWA. We love you, miss you, beautiful. Yes, awesome. Thank you, Wiley. Okay, CWA, you want to go ahead, unmute? You can unmute real quick, CWA.
I was just waving.
All right, beautiful. It's good to hear your voice.
Oh yeah, I miss you guys. I'll be back soon.
All right, beautiful. All right. Amber, the one and only Amber, if you can.
Hey.
There you go. I was like, wonder wish you. Wow, Lord. How you doing, Zach? I know Zach's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, he is.
Hey. All right. There you go, my good man. Yes. Yeah. My Lord.
Right here.
All right. Ready to get into these powerful art. And Amber, when you think about it, a lot of what you just heard, especially from Armor of the Father and everyone, is tying into what we're going to go over tonight in these articles.
Yes, it is.
All right. Yeah. All right, folks. We are going to get into this very first one. This is on. You guys have to realize for the last 5 years or so, Goldilocks has been stressing that in order for the RV to occur, we must have digital assets. Why? Because the technical term, the actual name of the new banking system is the Digital Asset Trading System. I'm going to repeat it. Digital Asset Trading System. But you're going to hear me say Digital Asset Banking System because it might be kind of easier for you all to understand that. So no coincidence that here you have you heard from the members that you're constantly hearing Kurdistan, but it's Goldilocks has been saying digital assets. You've heard the Chinese elders, Goldilocks saying digital assets. You've heard, boots on the ground, Goldilocks saying digital assets. You've heard the 3-day weekend, long weekend, Goldilocks saying digital assets. You've heard all these different things. None of it to be true, just like you've heard Arm of the Father, just like you've heard String Beans Hubby. Digital assets. Then you have President Trump is elected, and within the first week, he signs an executive order and puts a team in place within his administration to develop digital asset regulations. It's all connected to the revaluation of the currencies, revaluations of gold, all commodities, assets within the global banking system. It's exactly what Goldilocks has been saying for the last 5 years. This is why Wiley myself has been stressing the importance within our room. You've heard the success stories tonight of why folks needed to go and establish a relationship with the banks and the wealth managers and how to do so. Because where are the digital assets going to be housed? Within the banking system. What's going to back our currencies? The dinar, the dong, and every currency, the US dollar, and every currency for everything to be revalued? Digital assets. So let's jump right into this first one, Amber, on the digital strategic reserve. You folks heard this week where President Trump announced a digital strategic reserve within our banking system that he's creating. This is all connected to how the RV will occur. We need these digital reserves and these digital assets. Let's go, Amber. You got the floor, young lady.
Okay. When the U.S. establishes a digital strategic reserve, the Treasury will need to use new dollars to buy cryptocurrency. Explanation. The U.S. doesn't often create strategic asset reserves, and this would be the first for a purely digital asset.
Okay, 1 second, beloved. 1 second. Mm-hmm. The U.S. establishes a digital strategic reserve. The Treasury will need to use new dollars to buy cryptocurrency. We're going to get to that in a second with these banknotes that will be used to buy cryptocurrency from the digital reserves that the president is creating. The U.S. doesn't often create strategic asset reserves, and this will be the first in the history of purely digital assets for the newly created digital strategic reserves. This is how our RV, the backing of our RV, part of it is coming from the digital assets. Go ahead, young lady.
The U.S. Treasury would likely play a role in managing and securing the reserve. Mm-hmm. The U.S. would become a major player in the crypto market and could influence the price of assets. Mm-hmm. Treasury.
No, you're good. You're good, beloved. Okay. Thank you. Treasury. So, Treasury Order 101. Go ahead.
Okay. Treasury Order 101-17 is a U.S. Department of the Treasury order that governs the design of U.S. banknotes. It's part of a two-step process that finalizes the design of a banknote denomination.
You're good. Denomination. Yep. Boom. Perfect. No, thank you, beloved. So now, folks, the U.S. Treasury, this is the actual, and this is from the U.S. Treasury, the actual Treasury order by the U.S. Department of Treasury to design a banknote that will be utilized in order to purchase these cryptocurrencies within the digital strategic reserve that the president is creating. What are some of these digital reserve? What's going to be in them? XRP, XLM, various strategic reserves. What is the digital asset that will allow the dinar to be exchanged into the US dollar? XRP. What's the digital asset that's going to be utilized for the dong to be converted into the US dollar? XRP. What about the boulevard? How would that be exchanged in the new digital asset banking system to the US dollar? XRP. What is one of the digital strategic reserve assets? XRP. Are you guys picking up what we're putting down? Are you connecting the dots to what is transpiring? This is everything that the president is doing right now related to the new banking system, the new digital asset banking system is all in preparation for the revaluation of it is the transition from the old banking system into the new digital asset banking system. Transition from the old fiat backed by nothing burgers banking system to the new digital asset banking system. This is the transition. This is why an armor of the father mentioned it earlier. This is why the RV has not occurred until now, hasn't occurred up until this point. The system, the banking system wasn't ready. There could not have been an RV anywhere in the world before digital assets, before digital asset regulation in the United States. Iraq already has their digital regulations as of November of last year. Vietnam has theirs. Europe has theirs. So how can there be an RV in Kurdistan or Timbuktu or anywhere else without digital assets? The new digital banking system is not just in the United States. This is a global transition. All right, young lady, let's get to the next one here. It's
Okay.
sort of a continuation, but it's getting into the banknotes. Go ahead, young lady.
Okay. Developing and redesigning Federal Reserve notes. Treasury Order 101-17 is a policy that governs the development of U.S. banknotes, not a U.S. Treasury note.
That's very important. That's very important. That's very important. Folks, I'm going to say something to you right now. You must pay attention. I'm about to say about what Amber just read, because it's not in your face what is happening. So I'm going to explain it. Treasury Order 101-17 is a policy that governs the development of U.S. banknotes, not a Treasury note. So what you're about to hear, and this is right from this is right from the Treasury Direct and from the U.S. Treasury, where this redesigning of a Federal Reserve note. This is the nationalizing of our Federal Reserve that is happening, where the U.S. Treasury is redesigning these banknotes. This is the nationalizing of our Federal Reserve. Go ahead. Explanation.
Treasury Order 101-17 is a policy that establishes how the U.S. Treasury will develop and redesign Federal Reserve notes.
The Federal Reserve notes will be redesigned, folks. This is the nationalizing of our Federal Reserve. Go ahead. The order applies.
The order applies to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing and other offices that support the development of new banknotes.
Mm-hmm.
The order's goal is to preserve public confidence in U.S. currency by preventing counterfeiting and other security threats.
Mm-hmm.
The order's policy is to ensure that the U.S. can respond to counterfeiting, and security threats before they damage the economy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A U.S. Treasury note is a debt security issued by the U.S. government. It has a fixed interest rate and a maturity between 2 and 10 years. Treasury notes pay interest every 6 months.
Boom. Thank you, beloved. So, folks, this new redesigning of the Federal Reserve note, which is the nationalizing of our Federal Reserve. This is Trump's way of taking over the Federal Reserve and redesigning the note. And this particular note, this Federal Reserve, this new redesign of a banknote will be to purchase digital assets within the new banking system and within the new strategic asset reserves for the U.S. banking system. Do you think it's a coincidence that President Trump also had the crypto summit just the other day? Again, XRP, and we had the CEO of Ripple that was at the table and was present. The CEO of Coinbase was present. The U.S. Treasury, the Commodities Future Trade Commission, present. This is all a part of preparing this Federal Reserve note that will be redesigned. There's not going to be a printing of some Pride banknotes. I mean, not Pride, Rainbow notes. That's not even going to happen. So I know there on the internet, there might have been some people showing some, probably some AI generated Rainbow notes. No, this is the redesign of the existing notes in order to nationalize our Federal Reserve. Now Amber, I'm sharing something that I didn't share with you. I'm going to put this out first. I'm going to read it before, because I kind of did this without sharing it with you. It was a last minute thing. Folks, now we're going to get into how the RV will occur. Now we're going to get into how. See, you've heard every weekend and all that foolishness for so long that those fake imaginary those dates when. Let's get into how, with the receipts to show you how the RV will occur, how it strategically has been planned, how it's been orchestrated, and what is being done in order for it to occur. Now, if you look at the screenshot I just shared into the room, and this was from March the 6th, 2 days ago. And this is the first link in the article that we're going to read. And it's titled, What Trump's Tariffs Mean for Global Exchange Rates. It's titled, What Trump's Tariffs Mean for Global Exchange Rates. For those of you who have been paying attention, and for the last several weeks, I think it was last week, the week before, where Goldilocks shared what Trump's tariffs will do to the global exchange rates. And when Goldilocks shared about the reciprocal tariffs, and we went all the way back to 1938, I believe it was, when the first time that reciprocal tariffs were implemented and what it did and this was in order to get us out of the Great Depression and what it did to exchange rates. Now here we have our fast forward and President Trump is implementing reciprocal tariffs. And here we have an article from Bloomberg, what Trump's tariffs mean for global exchange rates. So like Goldilocks shared before, a couple of weeks ago, is how these tariffs will force countries' currencies to begin to move. Okay. Now, Amber, we can jump on into this on April the 2nd, 2025.
Okay. The United States is going to begin utilizing tariffs and reciprocating tariffs to level the playing field between the U.S. markets and global markets. This will shift prices on goods and services for a period of time until global markets find their equilibrium. The Forex market will be affected in the following ways.
1 second, beloved. Thank you. So reciprocal tariffs, folks, will level the playing field between the U.S. markets, and the global markets around the world. The global markets, folks, are the countries within the global markets. Remember 2017 when President Trump was in office, and the reporter asked him, Mr. President, there's a devaluation in the currencies around the world. How will you handle this? His response was, we will level the playing field. Now fast forward to 2025, April the 2nd, Trump's reciprocal tariffs go into effect. What do these tariffs do? Level the playing field between the U.S. markets and the global markets. Are you picking up what Trump is putting down? Go ahead, young lady. It is not necessarily required. Go ahead.
It is not necessarily required for a country to raise the value of its currency when hit with higher import duties, but it often happens naturally as a side effect, as higher tariffs can lead to a stronger domestic currency due to decreased demand for foreign currencies. A stronger currency will offset the cost of the tariffs for consumers.
Boom. Now, I'm going to explain right here what this says, folks, for you to get the picture. And Amber is going to continue because it's going to make even more sense as she gets into foreign currency exchange rates next within this article. But I'm going to read this. It is not necessarily required for a country to raise the value of its currency when it's hit with higher import duties, but it often happens naturally as a side effect. As higher tariffs, which of course Trump is going to impose, can lead to a stronger currency for a country due to decreased demand for their currency. So what this means, when these tariffs are imposed on these various countries, what is going to happen is there is going to be a decrease in the demand for their currency. So let's say we use this for example. I'm going to just use Iraq as an example. I'm not saying specifically Iraq because I don't want anyone to say that Freedom said Iraq specifically, because this is more all of the countries, including Iraq. So when these tariffs are imposed, let's say on Mexico or Canada to be specific, their currency will most likely devalue. Their currency will most likely devalue. But what happens when a country's currency devalues from these tariffs? Why would they devalue? Because the demand, remember, the value of a currency is based on the price, and the value is based on supply and demand. It is not based on a flip of the switch. That doesn't exist. That's always been guru foo-foo to make people think the RV will happen as a flip of the switch. No, the RV happens from the supply and demand of that country's currency in the open market. This is why Goldilocks has coined the phrase, watch the water, because the currencies of a country, as goods and services are exchanged on the water, trade on the water, shipped through ports on the water, their currencies are affected. So with these tariffs, that reciprocal tariffs that Trump is imposing that goes into effect on April the 2nd, these countries' currencies will most likely devalue because of the tariffs. Now, because of their currencies devaluing, in order to, in the last sentence, a stronger currency will offset the cost of tariffs. With this means, in order for a country to have an equilibrium, to be able to survive with their currencies devaluing from these tariffs, that country will naturally have to increase the value of their currencies through the supply and the new supply and demand in the global market. Countries will have to figure something out. Okay, if my currency is devalued because of the tariffs, the way that we will offset the additional expense of tariffs is to raise the value of our currency, because our currency just devalued because of the tariffs. This is what this is telling you. This is how, during the Great Depression, the way that at the time, Roosevelt was able to put the reciprocal tariffs, the Reciprocal Tariff Act, to get the United States out of the Great Depression, is to impose reciprocal tariffs. And it got us out of the Great Depression because the value of our currency increased. So, young lady, while stronger currency can help, go ahead.
While a stronger currency can help offset some of the cost of tariffs for consumers, it can also make a country's exports less competitive in international markets, potentially harming domestic producers. This is where new local currencies being used in trade will need to make foreign currency exchange rate changes in a more suitable environment for their growth.
Boom. This is where new local currencies, so this is where dinar, dong, Canada, whatever, being used in trade will need to make foreign currency exchange rate changes in a more suitable environment for their growth. Now, these tariffs are not being imposed. It is not being put out in the public. The tariffs are being imposed on specifically Iraq or specifically Vietnam. But folks, these countries have trade agreements with Canada. For example, Iraq, Vietnam have trade agreements with Canada, Mexico, and other countries around the world. So just as it's a domino effect, so just because the tariffs are imposed on Mexico and Canada doesn't mean that other countries around the world won't be affected, because everything is connected to everything, especially on the water. This is why Goldilocks has coined the phrase, watch the water. Where are tariffs imposed? On trade. Where? On the water. This is why Goldilocks has been saying for the last 5 years to watch the water. And here we have President Trump imposing these reciprocal tariffs. It will affect the currencies of these countries around the world, because in order to offset the losing in the value of their currencies, they'll have to change the rates as a result of the tariffs. You see, this is not where, flip the switch because the Chinese elder said so. No, this is in finance. There's cause and effect. Where there's an action, there's a reaction. The action is the tariffs. The reaction as a result of the devaluation of their currencies, the reaction is they have to now offset in changing the rates. And it's not, let me make this very clear also, on April the 2nd, when these reciprocal tariffs go into effect. No, this does not mean on April the 2nd, there is a flip of the switch in the revaluation of all the currencies as a result. There's going to have to be a period of time of the movement with the new changes in the tariff and the rates, and also digital regulations, digital asset regulations. It's going to take time. And if you think about it, this is where we will see the changes begin to occur eventually with the rates. Now, Iraq is going to be different than all the other countries. Iraq made it very clear to Goldilocks and also to D and also in writing, and we shared those receipts, that they will revalue to a fixed rate of the Iraqi dinar. The other currencies will float. And this is where you will see, and this is why you will understand why there will be a float. Because in the open global market, the devaluation of various currencies because of the reciprocal tariffs will cause countries now, in order to have an equilibrium, in order for the playing field to be level, these countries will have to change the rates on their currencies in order to survive. They will not be able to continue to survive at lower exchange rates. Just imagine I'm going to just use Vietnam as an example. The Vietnamese dong, the value of the dong has been the same for 40 plus years. Can you imagine them being affected by tariffs, where the tariffs are imposed and it'll cost them more money to do trade around the world, that means the value of the dong may go down. What would they have to do in order to survive with tariffs and new changes in the new banking system? They'll have to, the dong will have to go up in value in order for them to offset the cost of these tariffs. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Amber?
Yes, it does make sense.
All right, go ahead. You can continue.
Okay. The impact of tariffs on currency value depends on various factors like the trade balance, retaliatory tariffs from other countries, and market sentiments. When a country imposes tariffs, it makes imported goods more expensive, leading to reduced demand for those goods and the foreign currency needed to buy them, which can push the domestic currency value upwards.
Now, what this is saying about Goldilocks, when a country imposes tariffs, it makes imported goods more expensive, leading to reduced demand for those goods and foreign currency needed to buy them. That's the action. What's the reaction? That it can push the domestic currencies rates up. So think of dinar, think of dong, think of whatever currency, whatever country. Go ahead, young lady. The month of April.
The month of April will see many changes to our global economy. Perhaps it is fitting for this event to be during the Easter season as our financial world transforms from darkness into light. Watch the water.
Watch the water. This is what Goldilocks has been saying for the last 5 years. Now we have these reciprocal tariffs and the screenshot that I shared, what Trump's tariffs means for global exchange rates. This is just from the first link in the articles that Goldilocks has shared. This is how the rates, the exchange rates of the various currencies begin to move. This is also why for the last however long, last year and a half, 2 years, Wiley and myself has been stressing to you all the importance of going to the tier 1 banks, establishing relationships, and not talking dinar or RV foolishness. Because we knew what was coming. We knew what was necessary for you all to be successful, to be prepared for your exchanges. You heard from the folks tonight, Brunette, Grand, Stream Bean, her hubby, Taiu, Pretty, and also Armor of the Father. They've all told you their own personal experience, their own personal stories on the inside from the banks. You've heard even off the record, it was shared with them that the banks know what's coming, but they can't talk about it. And now it's picking up with President Trump imposing these tariffs that are coming on April the 2nd, with the digital asset reserve that will include the actual digital asset used, XRP, for our currencies to be exchanged in the new digital banking system, the new digital asset banking system. The digital asset regulations that the Trump administration is working on. This is all connected, folks. Then you heard where the banks even shared about XRP with Armor of the Father as well. Think about it. They shared a lot with him off the record, acting like the young man had his receipt, acting like he did a poo-poo and had to run outside and give him his receipt, and off the record telling him, yeah, we know about XRP. We had a conference call. We know what's coming. And this is a mom and pop small town bank. Also in that conversation with Armor of Father, where the wealth manager told him, like, tell the internet folks to shut up and stop talking about RV and dinar because we want to deal with professionals. We know what's coming, but we don't want to deal. What he was telling him is we don't want to deal with those guru breath people. And we know, folks, a lot of you that are listening, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know not to go on there talking about Jamie Dimon and we know Iraq is Chase Bank been in Iraq, all this foolishness. You see how it screwed you up? Look at the difference between that type of talk, that type of approach, and the difference between that and the success of the members that you've heard from tonight. Where, for example, with Brunette Grand, at her home, 4 hours with cheesecake, and the wealth manager brought it up to her about foreign currencies and said that she will sign an agreement with Brunette Grand to exchange her currency at the branch on her behalf in exchange for a higher rate with a contract, because her wealth manager is a licensed fiduciary. This would have never happened if Brunette Grand, from her very, very, very first beginning, went in talking about currencies and talking about dinar and RV. She followed the steps. She had a little snafu, not to her fault, but to one of the wealth managers that she spoke with. But then she continued. Then she got all set with 2 wealth managers, done, complete. Decided to throw her hat in the ring and get another one. And this one agrees to exchange your currency at a higher rate. It's all about establishing the relationships, just like Armor Father with his interaction with the wealth managers. They told him it's all about the relationships. And folks, a second meeting with the wealth manager doesn't mean because you talked about soccer and baseball, doesn't mean that you can just all of a sudden let me test the water and see if the wealth manager know what's going on and mention RV and dinar. We had someone that was in the room earlier and yesterday that tried that. Skipping steps. Don't do that. You have to understand the importance of establishing these relationships. You will be like the folks you've heard from tonight. Our young lady Amber, let's get into this last one by Goldilocks, and we're going to take it home.
Just this past week, we read an article about the Iraqi dinar going digital. First, this tells us we have a currency that is about to be valued differently on the blockchain.
1 second, folks. The blockchain is the quantum financial system. So when Goldilocks is saying this, tells us that this week the Iraqi dinar, we heard about it going digital, but we heard about it before. But this tells us of a currency is about to be valued differently on a blockchain. The only way that can happen, folks, is that it becomes digital. What are we moving into? A new digital asset banking system. What did President Trump, his executive order for the digital asset regulations? What was the crypto summit 2 days ago around digital assets? Go, young lady.
Second, we have been given an indicator that international inclusion is no longer a hope and a dream, but it is about to become a foregone conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Third, this is why we have been studying the governing laws that will run the QFS these past 5 years in this room. Fourth, we now have a formal announcement from the digital governing bodies of our President Trump that the new golden age of finance is here.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth, Scott Bassett, the Secretary of the Treasury, told us that we are currently onboarding stablecoin payment systems into the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, real world assets of the U.S. Treasury and market assets are being integrated into the new 21st century digital economy platform.
Mm-hmm.
Next month, tariffs will create massive issues with volatility, but these new digital assets will disrupt those market fluctuations with a new and real value designed to bring equilibrium over the course of many trades that take place in a given day. Enjoy.
Boom. Next month, tariffs will create massive issues with volatility. So basically, it will disrupt the global markets. But these new digital assets will disrupt those market fluctuations with a new and real value designed to bring equilibrium. You see, folks, the cause and effect, the action and the reaction, the action of the tariffs, will cause massive fluctuations, even in currency values. But the digital assets will settle the waters and create an equilibrium. It will create new values, and it's going to take time. No, I'm not saying a specific time frame. I'm just saying don't expect on April the 2nd to where all of a sudden a flip of the switch and all the rates change that day. You must give the markets time to warm up and make their changes organically. But this is why it has been important. Now we see what this is going to occur next month, April the 2nd. Amber, now do you see, Amber, where you and Zach, do you see the value in, like, with the two of you, Zach, with you and Zach, having already established your relationships and you all set with your wealth management team and your bank already done? You see the value in doing that ahead of time, being proactive?
Oh, of course, because now it's going to be a smooth transition from when we go in there to exchange to when we can spend our money and start generational wealth. It's already taken care of.
Yep, exactly. And folks that don't know, Zach and Amber, they have their trust accounts, their insurance policies, their brokerage accounts, and y'all got y'all debit cards to access your money, and when you exchange already, correct?
Oh yeah, and we can see the brokerage accounts on our app, our bank app.
Boom. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Wiley, you want to jump in here, my good man? Anything you want to add before we go home?
No, all good tonight. Great call.
Boom. Folks, real quick, for those that were with us earlier, Armor of God. Okay, I don't know why I keep saying Armor of God, Wiley. I think I got it from you. Armor of the Father, Taiu Pretty, Stream Bean, and Hubby, and Brunette Grant. If you guys can unmute real quick. All right. I see you, Brunette Grant. Taiu Pretty. Boom. Gotcha. And Mr. and Mrs. Stream Bean. Now, folks, it's amazing what you all have heard. Now we see how the RV will occur. It will occur on the water. It will start on the water. This is why Goldilocks has always said, watch the water. It is Trump's reciprocal tariffs will trigger the RV. Trump's reciprocal tariffs will trigger the RV. Now, again, I want to re-emphasize it one more time. No, this does not mean that the day of April the 2nd of reciprocal tariffs, boom, all the rates around on Forex all change. No, capital N-O. That is not how it works. It will have to be an organic, fluent change within the global system. There's regulations that also still must be finalized, even specifically here in the United States, where our digital asset regulations, stablecoin regulations must be into law. And that's also what the president and his administration is working on. Again, Iraq has their digital asset regulations already done, complete. Vietnam, done, complete. Europe, done, complete. Other countries around the world, done, complete. We, the United States, but we're behind. Those regulations must be in place. But the beautiful thing is these tariffs will begin to move the currencies where they can start fluctuating. You may not see them, and don't have the expectation to think. See, I know how a lot of people think. You're going to have these numbers in your head. You're going to hear these gurus talking about numbers. You're going to think it applies. No, remain grounded. Establish your relationships. Let it come to us. Don't try to force it. It is in motion already. Zach, what you think about all this, young man?
Amazing. Simply amazing.
Awesome. Todd, you want to add anything to take us home?
Oh yes, sir. Just wanted to tell everybody, just to keep their eyes on the prize, stay humble through the
Yep.
process, stay humble after the process. And also, I
Yes.
just wanted to tell people I don't want anybody to try to, let's say, copy my footsteps and take the route that I'm going. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
with me and my family, it's
Mm-hmm.
not for everyone. So
Right.
if you choose to do it, I advise you just to keep it amongst yourself and your family. Don't go out and, let's say, try to teach it for profit or
Mm-hmm.
anything, because you can cause problems within your
That's
life.
true.
So
That's true. That's true.
just
Great
remain,
advice.
just remain honest. Yeah, that's it.
Great advice. Great advice. Thank you so much. String Bean, anything you and Mr. String want to add to take us home?
Yes, I would just say that everybody's story may be different. We've all heard other stories on here
Mm-hmm.
and on other Saturday Night Lives.
Mm-hmm.
And although the stories may be a little bit different, if you're following the steps, you'll get to the same destination.
That's right. That's right. Follow the steps and create your own story, folks. That's it. Thank you, String Bean.
You're welcome.
That's it. All right. Beautiful. All right. Wiley, you good to go?
All good on my end.
Okay. All right, beautiful folks. Everyone, thank you so much. Everyone, enjoy your night. Be well, be kind. Everyone get some good rest. And we love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.